Littering and boom. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Wrestling Exchange. Perhaps just a little bit the most insightful podcast YouTube thing on all of the interwebs. I am your host, Ted. I'm broadcasting live from parts unknown. It's WrestleMania 2. We're doing closed circuit. We're doing a simulcast. Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, he's broadcasting from within the halls of Casa de Papo, live on the Isle of Samoa. He is.
Papo, welcome back, everybody. And Ted's a dick.
Is that it? You don't get anything, I'm just a dick?
Yes,
All right.
you Samoan hater.
Listen, I'm an honorary Samoan. I have a badge. It's somewhere. I have a badge. It's okay. So listen, this is a passionate wrestling conversation. A passionate conversation about wrestling between two lifelong wrestling fans. Specifically, we talk about WWE Monday Night RAW. This week, we're talking April 6th, 2015. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. We're going to talk about Raw. We're going to talk about the build-up for Extreme Rules. We're going to talk about the continued elevation of the United States title, and the award-winning segment, The Good, the Bad, and the Fugly. But first, gotta let you know, right now, because it's a passionate conversation, it's for mature audiences only, meaning that four-letter words and bad language, that flies. Those are things that happen here. And I got news for you. If you're not down with that, my man's got two words for you.
Boo cocky.
Is it bukkake one word?
No, it's broken up into two.
All right.
I researched it on Google.
Hey, you read it on the internet. Must be true. So, last thing before we get balls deep up in this Raw, do us a favor, right? I say it every week. Don't be that guy. Don't be the guy. Don't be the person, excuse me, trying to be gender neutral. Don't be the person that watches videos on YouTube and doesn't like. Don't do that. Why you gotta be like that? Give it a like. It doesn't take much. Give it a like. And hey, if you're like, I'm not gonna do that because I'm lazy and I don't want to click the like button, well, you should do it anyway. You should do that. You should comment. We're live. Comment in the comment section down below. Let us know what you think. If we're wrong, if we're right, if you want to chime in with your own opinion, you want to give us your 2 cents, I'm okay with that. So is my co-host. Also, subscribe. You'll get a notification letting you know when a new video is out. Email us your questions at tedandpapo@gmail.com. Share. Tell your friends. Have them tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends. And maybe, I don't know, we'll have 6 friends. Who knows? I'm sure my math is wrong on that. And Papo, I believe that's it for the plugs. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. So let's get balls deep in today's show.
All right, man, let's talk about it. So Raw this week, April 6, 2015, came from the I believe it's the Frank Irwin Center in Austin, Texas. And I got to say right off the bat, this was a good crowd. They pretty much did what they were supposed to do or what would be expected of, with the exception of the New Day. Do you think that's fair to say?
This crowd was definitely hot, and they did everything they're supposed to, minus the waves, but it was definitely a live crowd on Monday night.
Definitely exciting. So the show opens up, and again, we still have Byron Saxton in place of Michael Cole, although Booker T and JBL have returned. And they said that Michael Cole is convalescing, and the authorities, specifically Stephanie and Triple H, are basically away on a vacation and enjoying the fruits of their labor. So, big show. He's standing tall next to the 2015 Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal Trophy. Say that 5 times fast. Seth Rollins.
5 times fast.
Seth Rollins, he's in the ring with the other members. Kane, Jamie Noble, Joey Mercury. And Rollins cuts a promo. He basically praises Triple H for his big win over Sting. He praises Big Show for winning his first ever Battle Royal. And then he praises Kane for being Kane. Because apparently Kane honestly hasn't done much of anything as of late. And Big Show basically, he gets on the microphone and he says he's no longer living in the shadow of Andre the Giant. And he has now proved by his win at WrestleMania 31, or WrestleMania play button, that he is the greatest giant of all time. And then he continues to lick the asshole of a one Seth Rollins. Kane
Doo-doo.
Kane finally gets a chance to speak, and he's cut off by Randy Orton. The Viper speaks his mind, and he basically reminds us that he did indeed defeat Rollins earlier in the night at WrestleMania before the cash-in, and he refers to the RKO he gave Rollins as, quote, the most spectacular RKO of my career. He also goes on to say that he does have a victory over the champion, like I mentioned before, that should put him in line for a title opportunity. Kane basically says that Orton needs to respect his authority. Get it?
Authority.
See what I did there? As director of operations, he's decided to schedule a triple threat match tonight on this episode of Raw to determine a new #1 contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and they will face Rollins at Extreme Rules. The 3 participants consist of Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and Ryback. Kane declares that each of them will also complete later on in the show. So basically, they'll be pulling double duty. So in theory, they'll be exhausted going into that main event. Seth Rollins and Big Show are less than pleased with Kane's decision, and suggesting with their body language and their facial expressions that maybe Kane is out of touch and doesn't know what's best for business. Now, all that out of the way, Papa, I got a few quick questions. You ready?
Sure.
Is the Big Show, due to his first ever Battle Royal win at WrestleMania 31 in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, is it true? Is he really now the greatest giant of all time?
Okay, you lagged out on me. You asked, is he? And then you lagged out.
Oh, excuse me. Is it true that he is now the greatest giant of all time?
No.
Is that spot specifically reserved for Elegante?
Hell to the no. The greatest giant of all time is Andre the Giant.
Not Big John Studd?
No.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
It was worth a shot. So Big Show's doing the typical heel thing, right? He's just getting heat by just blatantly lying out of his butthole. He's kissing Seth Rollins' ass, which plays into the narrative, right? Kane doesn't even get to say a word, because Orton comes out, and Orton gets to say his words. So when Kane books the match, the triple threat match in the main event, and then says that the participants, Reigns, Ryback, and Orton, will be pulling double duty. How is them performing twice in one night affecting their chances, being that the match ultimately leads to the title defense at Extreme Rules? Like, what does them competing twice on Raw, how does that possibly affect the Extreme Rules outcome? Like, it's not like they're competing twice at Extreme Rules, and then they're all going in at once, exhausted. It's kind of like an entirely separate show. What I'm asking is, do you see the logic in it?
Actually, I do. I mean, the authority is playing to these guys. So when they go against each other, again, you said it earlier that they're going to be exhausted. So to whatever the outcome is of the match, they're going to be tired regardless. So if everybody was fresh, there may be a whole different outcome. But they're going to go ahead and play to the strengths. And we'll get to that match when we get to that match.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that either way, out of those three guys, nobody's preferred, right? Seth Rollins doesn't want to face Ryback. He doesn't want to face Orton. He doesn't want to face Roman Reigns. So why exhausting them on this Raw? I don't know. It would make more sense to me if it was like the last show before the pay-per-view, or like the pre-show to the pay-per-view, and then you could play off of that. But I just don't see the point in exhausting them now. And maybe I'm just reading into things, I don't know. So let's talk about the first of these three matches that Kane has booked, right? We got Randy Orton versus Kane. Now, Papa, you and I, we've talked at length about how Kane used to be awesome and he's not right now, and that's not really due to Kane's fault per se. It's due to his positioning, right? That it's I don't want to say overexposed, but we're getting tired of seeing him. But that being said, though, you can't take away from Kane that him and Randy Orton actually had a pretty good match here. Would you say?
It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed this match. I didn't see any missed spots. I mean, Kane played the role. Orton took it to him. It was actually, I would say that this was one of Kane's best match in a while. Not his best match, but one of his better matches that he's had so far, at least this year.
Oh, easily. I'm totally with you on that. And a long story short, the match goes on for a little bit while, longer than I actually expected. And it wasn't anything special, but it was a solid textbook wrestling match, and everybody got to get their shit in, all the good stuff. But interestingly enough, it basically comes into the spot where, and it plays into what you said earlier about them wanting to weaken them. And basically, Orton has Kane over the barrier. He gives him that kind of backdrop on the lower spine, right on the barricade. And Kane basically just grabs a chair and hits Orton in the stomach with it, which, of course, makes it so that way Orton wins via disqualification. Here's my thing, right? Why not? Because this isn't a spoiler, right? So he attacks Orton with the chair, and you're thinking, oh, he really wants to weaken everybody. But he doesn't. Like, it's just to Randy Orton, not to anybody else. And it doesn't even get that far because he actually tries to chokeslam Randy onto the chair in the middle of the ring. And Orton reverses and is almost able to RKO Kane, but Kane runs away. Was the point of Kane losing purposefully just because he's a heel and a chicken shit? Or does it have to do more with wanting to weaken Orton? Because he kind of ran away like a chicken shit anyway.
It was just to weaken him, so he goes into the triple threat match fatigued.
But I don't know.
Again,
does
I'm
that
run
count?
With that one.
Okay. So we have the re-mentioning. In fact, this is the first time it's mentioned on Raw specifically. AJ Lee's retirement. They go on to basically really sing her praises, and they mention that she is the record longest-running Divas champion, not women's champion, but longest-running Divas champion at 295 days. She's record-holding. She is tied with Eve Torres for the most times having won the Divas. Oh, there's another way to say that, I'm sure, but having won the Divas Championship the most times. So those two are tied for 3. And we also get to see Brad Maddox backstage with Kane. But I got to say, first, before we get into that, Brad Maddox, where the hell has he been? And he didn't even get to speak before he got interrupted. What's the deal here?
Well, according to the outline, wasn't he a GM at Wendy's or something?
That was my attempted poor humor, or my poor attempted humor. So basically, he's chastised by Kane for, as Kane puts it, quote, barging into my office. And then Seth Rollins barges into his office, and then Brad Maddox just ninja vanishes. And Rollins reprimands Kane for forgetting that the main objective is to protect Rollins, to protect the champion. And in the absence of the McMahon-Helmsley duo. Kane states that the only reason why Seth Rollins is world champion is because without Kane, he wouldn't have won the Money in the Bank and thus wouldn't have won his title. Kane tells Seth that his duty is to do what is best for business, purely. Like that's his beginning and end, right? And what's best for business is having a viable contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship for Seth to face at Extreme Rules, and that's good business. And Papo, I'd say so far the man's right. Yeah?
I'll run with it.
So Seth really isn't thrilled with that, and he's not thrilled with that. He's not thrilled with Kane, and he suggests that the Big Red Machine ought to step down from his position as director of operations because he's out of touch. And Kane then basically says that he also, referring to Seth, will be competing on Raw, and Seth is not too happy about that. Now, That's pretty much that segment in a whole. Is there anything else you wanted to add, or did I cover it all successfully?
You got that 100.
Boom. So it's also announced that for new subscribers, only new subscribers for the month of April will be free. And god damn it, I think I'm going to cancel my subscription and then open up a new one. And then, I don't know, hopefully I'll get it for free because goddamn, I'm tired of paying for it when they do so many free months. And then we got to talk about one of my favorite matches of the night. And in fact, did we skip a match? I feel like we did. No?
No, it was just a
No.
lot of chatter.
All right, so tell us about Seth Rollins versus Neville, formerly known as Adrian Neville, now just Neville.
Well, we all know that Neville is straight out of NXT. Made his debut, is bad. The boy is definitely bad. So we got Rollins coming out, waiting to find out who his opponent is. All of a sudden, Neville's music hits. He comes out backwards, turns around, flips the hood, runs down to the ring, slides in, and we get Seth on the mic, telling him just brushing him off like a senior to a rookie.
Right? I mean, he's just talking shit. So and it's interesting too. But you and I have spoken before about how generally it's probably 80-20 as far as 80% of the people that go to the shows don't watch NXT and about 20% do. It sounded to me like everybody in Austin, Texas knew who Adrian Neville was because it sounded like damn near the entire stadium broke out in a few NXT chants.
Yes, you are absolutely correct.
So Seth Rollins talks his shit, and it doesn't matter because we get right into the match, and I think he talks enough shit to Neville that Neville basically does his like kind of spinning back kick to the stomach, and then the match starts. And this was an impressive showing for both men. Obviously, both being more of that high flyer range, but Papo, it was kind of refreshing because even though both are high flyers, it allowed Neville to showcase his ability to have more of that aerial offense, while Seth for once got to, I guess, probably take a break and play the bigger, stronger, more grounded offense. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, that is fair to say. I mean, throughout the majority of the match, we did get to witness Neville at his high flying. With Seth also being a high flyer, he was a lot more grounded. I did notice that, and it was kind of refreshing, if you will.
If you will, can I put this in your brain and see how this works?
Go ahead.
It seemed like the way Seth Rollins was working in this match was, and not so much the move set, but how he worked, eerily similar to being Randy Orton. So it's almost as if Seth Rollins was playing that Randy Orton. I mean, obviously he's playing the heel in working that slower, methodical style, but he's kind of working it just about as well as Randy Orton would, which means he's doing awesome at it. Is that fair to say? Or did I overcomplicate things?
You cut out on me.
Oh, was it seemed like he was working in that heel fashion, similar to like watching Orton work as a heel.
Okay.
No? Am I alone here? Like, you know what? We're just going to skip past that. I don't want to spend too much time on it. So let's talk about the match because it's going back and forth. And I guess I didn't seem to understand the story unless it was basically that these guys know each other really well. And they kind of, not that they have counters for each other's counters, but, they're very familiar with each other's work. But, they definitely played up that Neville had the advantage in speed and agility, and Rollins had a little bit more of the advantage in size and strength, maybe. although for a tiny guy, Neville is fucking buff. Um, and basically, after a while, it's a really good back and forth match. Neville has Rollins in the position to hit him with that red arrow, which is that kind of like a shooting star press, but it's like also a corkscrew at the same time. And
It was a 360 shooting star press.
whatever the hell it is, it's fucking impressive, right? So he climbs to the top rope to do this, and Mercury Mercury distracts the ref on the one side, and Noble goes to attack Neville. He isn't actually successful in attacking Neville per se. He's more actually successful in distracting Neville for just a moment to allow Seth to buy Seth an extra few seconds to get out of the way. And then basically, ultimately, the match kind of comes to an end where Rollins is able to stun Neville with his signature corner powerbomb, and then follows up with a curb stomp for the win. Now, it's interesting because you could also say that part of the story being told here is that, and they even did a spot earlier in the match where Neville ended up on the outside, but as soon as Mercury and Noble ran at him, he ran right back in the ring. It's almost as if they were trying to play the story that, yes, Neville's opponent was Rollins, but he had to pay attention to 3 opponents, whereas Rollins only had to pay attention to 1, and that may have helped his chances. At the end of the day and at the end of the match, Rollins went on to get a little bit more heat by curb stomping and already defeated Neville with the aid of J&J Security. So, this match, how awesome was it? And is it a contender for match of the night?
This match was awesome. It would be even more awesome if J&J Security wasn't involved, but they were. But again, it was an awesome. This match was my favorite of the night.
So let's say we let the match go 20 minutes, right, in our fantasy land, and let's say we keep J&J Security out there, right, for about a good third of the match or about half the match, and then the ref catches them cheating enough times and bans them from ringside, and then it allows for more of an even playing field between the two. Do you think that would have been more interesting as far as drama and storytelling wise, having them out there to help Rollins cheat, but only to be removed by decent officiating?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, regardless of J&J being removed from ringside, I would still give the match to Rollins because, I mean, the boy is good. He's a dick, but the boy is good. And the match would have been taken to another level, especially with these two, Neville and Rollins. They had that potential to take this match to the next level, which could have been main event status.
So, last 2 questions. Question number 1. It's a rare opportunity for Neville to face the champion. Was this a mistake as far as putting a guy who debuted last week to face the champion, even though it's a non-title match? Is this too much too soon?
Actually, no. It actually helps his character, even though he lost, because it shows him that he still has to pay his dues to get a mid-card belt only on the second match on Raw. So it's actually a slingshot into mid-card status.
I'm with you. I'm in agreement with you, but that's a thing that I had to ask because that's a thing that's being muttered on the interwebs. My last question on this subject before we move on to the next match, which was, in my opinion, almost as good. Would you, honey? Can you call the dog? Is that sorry about that, folks. That's what happens when you do it live. Would you like to see more of these two?
Yes.
And the second part of the question is, would you like to see more of these two, specifically with Neville, maybe 6 months to a year from now, challenging Rollins for the title?
I would say within the 6 months again.
Boom.
Not a
All
year,
right.
within 6 months.
Well, no need to rush, right? So let's talk about the John Cena Open Challenge Invitational. This is the second week in a row that Cena has come out with the U.S. title, basically granting a challenge to anybody and everybody in the back, from Rusev to the Brooklyn Brawler. And unfortunately, for the second week in a row, we did not get the Brooklyn Brawler. But he cuts his typical John Cena promo in that he acknowledges his fans and his detractors. And this time, it's the Cosmic One that answers the call, and Stardust is the one that basically gets the match against Cena for the title. So we've talked a little bit about this, but I wanted to just briefly touch on this. When we talk about the mid-card titles, specifically the U.S. title out of the U.S. and the Intercontinental, what you do to make these titles special, in my opinion, is you just have them defended. You not just that people want to win, but that it's constantly defended, because it could be lost at any time, which kind of adds an inherent sense of drama to it. But as far as John Cena coming out each week and offering a challenge, Papo, I gotta know, how much did you enjoy this, and how long would you like to see this go before maybe someone challenges him and finally beats him and kind of ends this open challenge streak?
Well, the way Cena's writing it out right now, I am a diehard fan of a fighting champion. I love it. And I don't mind Cena going out there and putting out that open challenge, knock out a couple jabronis, but I got a really, really strong feeling that Rusev may take that belt from him.
You think so? Well, you know what? You might be right. Rusev has not had his rematch.
It's just a feeling that I have that either if Rusev does not take the belt away from Cena, then he should go on for heavyweight status.
So, and we talked about this last week, how that's a good thing for Rusev, but because normally I would say Rusev gets a rematch, but because technically these two have already had 2 matches already, and Rusev's been the U.S. champion for like 9 months, give or take, I think I'd be okay with Rusev just deciding not to challenge for it, just deciding to move on to bigger and better things. But this opportunity that is being presented week in and week out by John Cena to the roster, I see this, and you and I have talked about this before the show, about the possibility of maybe they could have held off Neville's debut and have Cena wrestle open challenges, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, whatever, every week, and then basically the last week before whatever pay-per-view you decide to do it on, that's when you debut a guy like Neville, let him get the win the first night out, and then John Cena can win it back at the rematch at the pay-per-view, or maybe he beats John Cena clean 2 times in a row. But do you think that would end up with a much more impactful debut as opposed to just having a random match with Curtis Axel? As much as we love, as much as we are Axel maniacs, brother.
Well, for somebody to debut and immediately get a title shot, I mean, that's like a slap in the face to the rest of the roster.
Is it when he's already held the major title in the second brand and enough of the audience knows who he is? Because I wonder about that, because a guy like Neville is perfect, right? Because he can debut, he can hit the red arrow, his finisher, and he can get over immediately. Whereas I think a guy like him with his moveset might be the exception to that rule. And I would say specifically him and not somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Because you could see his work in the ring, and they could play up the fact that he's already been NXT champion for like 8 months, and that it's not that much of a jump.
I'm still going to go with it. It may be a slap in the face for somebody to debut and get a title shot like that.
All right, fair enough. So let's talk about this John Cena match, because we started talking about it and then we stopped. So Stardust comes out wearing his the same. It looks like the same entrance gear he wore at WrestleMania, which is this kind of Mr. Sinister kind of look from the X-Men. and the crowd immediately starts to chant Cody. And Stardust continues to do his bit where he's like, "No, Cody Rhodes is dead." Chant Stardust. Um, and basically, him and Cena go back and forth, and they have a really entertaining match here. It ends up where Stardust evades the Attitude Adjustment and then hits Cena with the Alabama Slam. And this is where I start to become taken out of the match, and I want to talk to you about this specifically. It's during this match where Stardust goes back to using Cody Rhodes' moveset. And since we saw the debut of Stardust, he's used a similar moveset, but a different moveset. Not the Crossroads, not the Alabama Slam, not the Disaster Kick, but different types of these moves, but not the same. But the fact that he's reverting back to more of Cody Rhodes' moveset, one, is that a bad thing? And two, why the fuck are we not getting an explanation for this? Like, are they just trying? Does it feel like it's being shoehorned in?
Yes, but I mean, it shows diversity, so we don't know which Stardust we're going to get. But overall, I mean, it's the same moveset that he's going to have. He's the same person, and he's going to be comfortable with his moves that he has. So, I mean, honestly, Cody Stardust.
Do you
Cody
think
dressed up like a clown? So,
do you think it would be better served if they actually made a story? If him going back to Cody's moveset would be incorporated with a story that he's turning back into Cody, the blurring of those two characters, because without that, it just kind of seems pointless. Like it really doesn't seem like there's a reason for it. Like it may seem to Stardust to be a reason for it, but it's not translating. It's just a thing that's happening with no explanation. And I like it. I just wish it would be addressed, or maybe that's something that the commentary just has to mention, that he's fighting between being Stardust and being Cody, and a result of that is some of Cody bleeding over into what is become Stardust. We get another middle rope springboard stunner from John Cena. So is this the second or third time we've seen him do this move now?
I believe this is the second.
Would you be okay with him permanently adopting this move into his moveset?
Oh, yes. It's new, it's fresh. I like it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's new, it's different, and I'm all for things that are new and different. We get at one point Cena reverses into what looks like a combination of like a sit out power slam or like a Michinoku driver. It's weird, and I don't quite understand it. It's like both of those at the same time. Cena's comeback sequence gets interrupted by Stardust, and Stardust hits the DDT, and John Cena takes this DDT, and man, that was fucking nasty.
They replayed it twice. I mean, the top of his head hit flush on the mat, and you could see his teeth cracking. That's how hard he hit.
Dude, it was like shades of Benoit throwing Sabu up in the air, and Sabu coming down on his head. It was just gross, but it was good, right? It added drama, and I hope that he's okay. If there's a safe way that he's doing it, which you're compressing the spine, I don't think there's anything safe about that. I hope he's okay. I hope he doesn't do that too much. Maybe save that spot for big matches, because goddamn, that was incredible looking. Eventually, Cena hits the Attitude Adjustment for the win. Couple of problems I had with this match. We had a commercial break again during the title match. Don't like it.
Poo-poo!
Poo-poo! John Cena could be heard loudly calling spots. But overall, how does this fare compared to the Rollins-Neville match?
It doesn't compare.
I'm sorry, you said it does not compare?
The Neville match, it does not compare.
Okay. So if we had to take a look at the three best matches so far, would it be Rollins-Neville and then Orton-Kane tied with Cena-Stardust?
Total agreement. I
All right.
concur.
Speaking of concurring, which doesn't make any sense, terrible segue, we got a Divas Tag Team match. It's the Bella Twins versus Paige and Naomi. So basically, the Bella Twins make excellent use of tag team psychology. Really, really good. In fact, they're working so good as a tag team, it's almost better than some of the tag teams in the men's division. Bree distracts the ref while Nikki clotheslines Paige on the outside, so she gets her heat. Sympathy for Paige. It's a win-win. An increased desire for that hot tag. Basically, Naomi gets that hot tag. She comes in. She hits she hits Nikki with the rear view, which is that booty butt bump. That's what I'm calling it. And Bree breaks the pin, and then Paige comes in, super kicks Nikki, spears Bree, and the two of them roll through the ropes onto the outside. And Naomi picks up the win with a leg scissor headlock driver. I'm going with that. That's I can't think of anything else that is. That's a move that needs a name, right? She needs to call that something because apparently that's her finish now. So, couple of questions. First one, is it just me, or does this come across as an attempt to satisfy the fans of the Divas that want to see more by just a cheap attempt at throwing as many Divas in as possible?
Yeah. I mean, we got 4 Divas in there right now. Hashtag give Divas a chance. And
so let's put it this way. If the purpose of the match, which I think it is, the purpose of the match ultimately, aside from getting more Divas in there, was to kind of reestablish that Naomi, like she was before, is a viable contender for the Divas title. So why not just have that as a singles match with Naomi having Paige as her, not manager or valet, but as her second, like Brie is always there for Nikki. Is it just me, or would that have been a better way to showcase that Paige is a contender?
it would have been, but I believe they're just trying to fill in the spot with as much Divas as possible. I would have preferred at least a non-title match between Naomi and Nikki.
So maybe she gets a non-title win, which automatically makes her number one contender?
Absolutely.
I can dig it. So tell me what you thought about this match. Papa?
Yeah, you lagged out on me.
Oh, tell the people your thoughts on this match.
Well, and we're still talking about the Divas match.
Still talking about the Divas match. We're about to be over talking about the Divas match, which is for you. How was the match? Was it good? Was it bad? What are we doing here?
Well, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. I mean, the highlight of the match was that head scissor driver that Naomi did, which was just like awesome. And whichever Bella Twin that was sold it perfectly.
I believe it was Nikki. What do you think about Paige's? Are you seeing a struggle with Paige in the sense that she just hasn't quite figured out how to display pain using her face? Like, she's able to do it with her body language, but am I the only one that's picking up on the fact that, like, she's not really making the "ow, this hurts" face, or if she is, it's just not as convincing?
I have noticed that also. But, I mean, with her hair covering her face, the body compensates for the pain.
The body. What a lovely body. Last question. Thought I had watching this match. Really non-related. But should we get female referees for the Divas matches?
That would be cool.
Right?
Put him
Different.
in like a referee bikini. Woo!
Here's what you do. You make Eva Maria ref. So that way we never have to watch her wrestle again. You could do that with her, and you could do that with the one that was with Fandango. Whoever the hell she was. I don't remember her name. Speaking...
Summer Rain?
No, not Summer Rae, the one that came after. When he became the Spanish Fandango. The you know what I'm talking about, like the Tango Fandango?
Tango Fandango.
Fandango 2.0. Eva Mendes. Eva Mendes. So, speaking of one thing that was okay, we're going to talk about something that was better than okay. It's the primetime players. And they get like a 2-3 minute video segment where they shit all over the New Day and the Ascension, hashtag millions of dollars. I First of all, Papo, your thoughts on the primetime players?
That promo was the best promo they have ever done, hands down. They came out talking about New Day, made fun of them, but the highlight of the promo is when they hid from the camera and then popped right up with the shoulder pads covered with aluminum foil and with those road thingies on their shoulders.
Yeah, they were like
the cones.
Yeah. So let's talk
mini cones covered with aluminum foil. It was hilarious.
So let's talk about that, right? Because we have the New Day, which are good guys, kind of, up until this next segment. They're good guys, and the primetime players are not good guys, bad guys. I don't know what they are, right? So, but before they poo-poo on the Road Warriors, they poo-poo on the New Day. And Titus O'Neil, I think he says a line about nappy hair, whatever. But what got me is he said something about "Don't talk about my chest, Kofi Kingston," and that's hilarious to me because Kofi has the weirdest chest I've ever seen in pro wrestling. He doesn't have like pectoral muscles at all, and it's like really, really weird. Is it just me? Am I the only one that notices this? Clearly I'm not, because Titus notices. Tell me what you think, brother.
Honestly, I never noticed his chest, so I can't back you up on that. My bad, Titsky. So
whatever. You know you were looking at his chest. Second question: What happened to Slater Gator? No more Slater Gator?
Didn't he have some legal issues that he was going through?
He did, but that ended, and then that's when they started doing the Slater Gator. What if you got Heath Slater, who wanted to be a member of the primetime players, and like they would start doing the millions of dollars, and he would come in kind of doing the when Mankind was following The Rock, and he was constantly cutting off The Rock and issuing his own versions of Rock's catchphrases. Like if we just had Heath Slater coming in and he started joining with them with the millions of dollars, and they're like, "What are you doing? Get out of here! You're not a primetime player." And he's like, "Come on, guys, I want to be a primetime player. It's money. Call me." It's a great idea. So they shit all over the New Day. I think even at one point, Darren Young is using ketchup at face paint.
Yes. Fucking hilarious.
Fucking hilarious. Is there anything else you wanted to add about that, or can we talk about feast mode?
Let's talk about feast mode.
Let's talk about feast mode. So Ryback, or as Daniel Bryan refers to him, the Ryback, comes out with a new airbrush singlet, and he's rocking the blue, he's rocking the yellow, he's rocking the red. But the new singlet says, instead of beast mode, he has feast mode because he's big hungry. And him and Luke Harper have a killer match. Papo, what did you think about this match? Did it meet your expectations? Did it not?
Dude, you totally lagged out on me.
Did this match meet your expectations?
For Ryback and Luke Harper, yes, it did. Awesome match. This is tied for number 2.
Basically, at one point, Ryback goes to hit Harper with the meat hook clothesline and ends up eating a nasty fucking super kick to the face. Ryback ends up ducking the discus clothesline, hits the ropes, runs right in and then he gets hit with one of that boss man slam, the spin out slam. It's a very physical match. Makes me, well, at this point it made me miss Sheamus, but Sheamus will be appearing shortly. Ryback wins with the shell shock. Very good match. We also are treated to a backstage segment where Renee Young interviews the New Day. And I don't want to spend much time on it other than the fact that the New Day are now wearing green. And they kind of, they say it hurts that people tell them that they suck. And it's disappointing, but they promise there's not going to be any disappointment in their dancing, chanting, and clapping. It's said that we clap or we snap and we see that Big E and Kofi are happy, but it kind of looks like Xavier Woods is putting on the act. Like at one point he's kind of rolling his eyes, and he's like, "Oh yeah," doing that shit. And then we get New Day versus Lucha Dragons. So let's first talk about Lucha Dragons. What's your thought on these guys as a tag team? Do you think that they'll last long, or do you think it's Sin Cara's there just to help establish Kalisto?
Lucha Dragons coming straight out of NXT, hot tag team, very acrobatic, very dynamic. They got this POW DPS for your face, and I'm at a loss for words. These guys are quintessential lucha libres.
Well, if you're at a loss for words, I'll pick up where you left off. They are incredible, right? But what happens in this match is very interesting because the New Day really get in some interesting and effective offense. They basically keep Sin Cara tied up in the corner, and what they do is they start stomping on him, right? And then the referee does his, count to 5, and if he gets to 5, you're disqualified. So every time he gets to about 3 or 4, what happens is that whether it's Big E or Xavier Woods, they make the tag. So that way they don't have to break from the ropes, and then they switch, and then the other guy starts stomping the poor shit out of Sin Cara. And this gets repeated like 5 or 6 times. And Papo, I started to wonder at one point, I said, well, this is technically legal within the realm of a tag team match. Why isn't this done more often? This was awesome. They just stomped Sin Cara into oblivion.
Well, they were. I mean, that was classic heel faction. So they're, how should I say, they're proprietors.
Yeah. So what happens here is really interesting because even while the ref is distracted at one point, Kofi kicks, Sin Cara? Excuse me, he kicks Kalisto in the head while the ref's back is turned. And there was kind of an interesting little play, a little drama action going on here because Xavier Woods kind of looks at Kofi and he's like, oh, really? Like, you're on board with this? You're going to cheat? You're going to bend the rules? Okay. And he's kind of pleasantly surprised. Eventually, we get Kalisto doing this, what I believe it's called the Spaceman Plancha, over the top rope onto Big E and Kofi on the outside. And at some point during that spot, a tag was made to Sin Cara. Sin Cara picks up the win for the Lucha Dragons with a swanton from the top rope. We're starting to see New Day slowly turning heel. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that match before we talk about your man, Roman Reigns?
You mean Super Uso?
Super Uso.
Nah, we can keep going. Let's talk about Super Uso.
Well, before we keep going, just a quick reminder. If you're watching this video, if you like what you see, go ahead and click the like button. If you don't have a YouTube account, what are you doing? It's 2015. Get a YouTube account. That way you can subscribe. You can get an email each time we put up a video. And while you're at it, you can go ahead and clickety-clackety on the keyboard down there in the comment section down below. Let us know what you think. Tell us what your favorite match of the night was on this particular Raw. Or you know what? You can play the good, the bad, and the fugly with us, because at the end, we're going to talk about that segment. We're going to break it down, what was good, what was bad, what was fugly. You know what? You give your opinion. You tell us. We'd love to hear from you. Make this shit a little bit more interactive. Also, share with your friends. Share on all your social media sites, Facebook, so on and so forth. Send us an email. It's in the description box below. Visit our Patreon page if you're interested in supporting us again. That is in the description box below. Now, moving on. Roman Reigns versus Big Show. How many times have we seen these two have a match in the past year? Fuck that. In the past 4 months.
Dude, I lost count.
Is it double digits or more?
If not double digits, we're right on the edge. Right on the motherfucking edge.
So on paper, this is a really good match, right? In the sense that you have Big Show as the giant, as the literally the monster heel. And then you have Roman Reigns as this kind of, I don't want to say Superman, but like larger than life badass. But normally he kind of can out-muscle everybody else, but in this position, it's not really easy for him to out-muscle Big Show. And in this match, they tell a similar story to what Reigns told with Brock in the main event of WrestleMania, which is that Reigns is a tough bastard, and he's going to take the abuse with a smile on his face because he gets off on it, right? Because that makes him stronger, and he's not going to give up. And it's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. And every time Roman starts to mount a little bit of offense, Big Show overpowers him and cuts him off. It's almost like one step forward, two steps back. And then we get to see the unholiest of sins I've ever seen. Big Show doing a fucking baseball slide. Papo, why should a 450-pound, 7-foot man do a baseball slide?
That's ludicrous.
It's terrible, right?
It's ludicrous.
Would you ever see someone that size do that in a fight? And like I know it's phony pro wrestling, and it's not like an octagon fight, UFC or MMA fight, but it's a lot of what's done in the ring, aside from hitting the ropes, is the psychology-wise in a real fight. What would happen if this were to go down? So like in a real fight, you would never see someone just forget they have the size and weight advantage and fucking baseball slide a motherfucker. Is this an unforgivable sin?
It's definitely an unnecessary move on the Big Show.
It's blasphemy. Let's put it that way. Come on. You know it's true. And then we see that it takes at least 2 Superman punches and 1 spear to take the Giant off his feet. I like that. I like everything they did in this match with the exception of that baseball slide, but it's one of those things where you see something over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter how cool it is, eventually it stops being cool and it kind of starts getting boring. So I don't mind that these two wrestle, because I think they actually do have really good chemistry. I just want them to separate and maybe bring this feud back around in a few months. So Roman Reigns wins. Papo, you got anything else to add here before we can talk about Kane being molested by the Divas division?
Okay, let's talk about the molestation of Kane. That sounds like a good movie.
Right? So the Big Red Machine is backstage, and he's in his office when 4 Divas barge in. It's Summer Rae, Natalya, Alicia Fox, and Cameron. And they kiss his ass. They tell him he's a good job, and that he's successful in his running of the show this evening, and he's not buying it. Right? He's like, what's the deal? What are you guys after? I'm not. Come on. What is this? What is this business? And they basically say, #give Divas a chance. Maybe you should give us a battle royal next week to determine who the real #1 contender is for the Divas title. Kane agrees, and he states the battle royal will occur next week. So it's within his wheelhouse to book this match. My only question is it worth having a Divas Battle Royal or any other type of Battle Royal so close to a Battle Royal we just saw at WrestleMania? Is it too soon?
No, it's not too soon. Right now, it's just the Divas, and just let them go. Let's see who the #1 contender is with this Diva Battle Royal. I love me a Battle Royal.
You know what?
So,
let's raise the stakes. Fuck a Battle Royal. All Divas, Elimination Chamber. Boom. Mind blown.
That is fucking awesome.
Vince, call me. You know what, Vince? Send me an email at tedandpapo@gmail.com. And Vince, while you're emailing us, ladies and gentlemen, you, the peoples, you can email us at tedandpapo@gmail.com with questions, with Vince McMahon's personal phone number. Fuck it. I'd love it. It'd be amazing. I'd be like, ha, Vince, it's a millennial, ha, pal. It'd be great. Everybody gets involved. Interactivity, it's a thing. Then Sheamus comes out. So we're going to briefly touch on this, and then we'll keep it moving. Sheamus, he's got a new look, and he comes out and he says that he's a real man, and he pitied the fool that is not a real man. You actually, I believe you missed this segment. Were you taking a potty break?
Yeah.
It's forgivable, dude. It's a 3-hour show. So what I'll do is I'll briefly touch on what happened. So Sheamus is basically he's doing the Rick Rude without quite clearly doing the Rick Rude, in the sense that Rick Rude would come out, he'd take off his robe, he'd tell the audience that he's a real man and this is what a real man looks like, and fellas, hold on to your ladies because they'll be coming home with me and my beautiful mustache, and off comes the robe, and boom, 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 muscles in all sorts of places. But basically what happens is the Celtic Warrior, basically, he goes on to say that he's one of the few only real men that are left, and that he's always been a warrior in a world full of insects. He insults Dolph Ziggler and all the other, as he put it, little fellas. And then it's time for the Hall of Pain. Mark Henry comes out, and Mark Henry and Sheamus have a match, and it's a very short match. I wouldn't call it a squash match because it was kind of even for a while, but Sheamus wins with the Brogue Kick. The only thing I have to ask about this, Papa, given that you didn't see this, is it too soon to bring Mark Henry back for Sheamus? Should that have been extended? Let Sheamus run through some smaller guys first, then get to Big Show. Then get to Mark Henry. Maybe save that for Extreme Rules.
I mean, Sheamus has already held gold, so put him up against somebody that's going to hurt him. The House of Pain. So
I can dig it.
Let him go against Sexual Chocolate.
Hey, that's what he do.
Throw a little color into there.
So, we get a pre-taped Bray Wyatt promo where he addresses the audience about our fear of failure, and he proclaims himself and he says, "Behold, the new face of fear." It's kind of interesting because this is kind of within that realm that he was cutting promos in leading up to WrestleMania 31, aka WrestleMania Play Button. But it's just kind of weird because I'm not quite sure who it's directed at. Beyond talking to the audience, who's next for Bray Wyatt? Papo, any ideas who's next for Bray Wyatt?
No idea.
Maybe we get the reformation of the Wyatt family. Maybe we get a few more Wyatts.
Or maybe some new Wyatts. Believe.
Dude, you took the words right out of my stupid fat American mouth. I love it. Promote this man. Give him a job. Fuck it. We got Miz versus Damien Mizdow. This was surprisingly one of my more favorite. I don't know if more favorite is a real thing, but it was one of the more enjoyable matches in the show. Papo, can we talk about the fact that it was really just Damien Mizdow talking a ton of shit to the Miz, and eventually he says, how's that feel? I still work for you. At one point, Miz goes for a low blow, and Damien blocks it, and he looks him right in the face, and he goes, "Really? Really?" Kind of almost stealing Miz's other gimmick. Unfortunately, though, Miz does win with a roll-up by holding the tights. This match was pretty interesting. How do you feel about the Miz and Mizdow dynamic as far as them being opponents? And should this have been saved for, say, Extreme Rules? So that way their first one-on-one is not on free TV.
Well, it could have gone either way. I mean, it would be wise for them to save it for Extreme Rules, but it can actually build up to the end of the feud at Extreme Rules. So we'll get another match maybe on SmackDown or another Raw just before the pay-per-view, and then the pay-per-view they have just a straight-out grudge match, and it ends the feud right then and there.
I guess that wouldn't be too bad. I would have just rather have saved it, have them start wrestling each other on one pay-per-view, and have that blow over into a series of matches, maybe like a best of 7, and then that last match is at the next pay-per-view. That's how I would do it. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about the main event. And before we do so, again, let us know in the comment section down below what your favorite match of the night was. Anything you want to talk about, you can email us at 10pop@gmail.com. Go ahead and become a sponsor. Make a donation at the Patreon page. It's in the link below. Don't be fucking lazy. Don't be that guy. Like the video. Share with your friends. And now, Ryback versus Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. Papo, tell the people about this match.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we stepping into the main event. We got Orton versus Roman versus Feast Mode Ryback.
Fuck yeah. It's feeding time.
So, match starts off that they attack each other. Everybody's trying to pull off some signature moves, but getting countered by everybody else. And then, lo and behold, we got the Authority standing at the head of the ramp.
They're raising the roof. They're all up in it. They're loving it.
You gotta love Tetsuki's current insight with today's youth.
These damn millennials.
Raising the roof.
Raising the roof. That's what the young kids are saying. That's what the young kids are saying. So let's talk about this, right? So I really dug this match, and it was just kind of unfortunate because it was pretty short, right? I'm going to say it was probably 8 minutes, right? Maybe 9 minutes. Kind of disappointing. I like that everybody was going for their own moves and like none of them could really get off their signatures and whatnot. But it just felt like with everything being the way it was, that if they were going to really play up the fact that each of these men have already competed and there's an exhaustion factor that's carrying over into this match, I don't think that would come across unless you give these guys like a good 20 minutes. You know, like really stretch that main event out so you could really see that fatigue is really affecting them. Because with 8 minutes, you could, but it's just really doesn't. You really when you're looking at a guy who's exhausted in the ring, right? You really kind of have to hammer that shit home. You really, really have to play that up because some of the TV audience doesn't really get it. They're like, oh, he's tired. No, it's beyond tired. It's my body's aching, my muscles, my joints, everything. I competed earlier. I've been knocking around this ring earlier. I'm sore, I'm beat up, and I'm tired, and I have to. And it's not just a regular match, right? There's a stipulation. The winner of this match becomes the new #1 contender. So it's about fighting through the exhaustion, fighting through the pain. It's about that drama, and I felt like we were kind of robbed of that a little bit by the shortness of the match. The Authority does come out, and just like the young kids are doing, they're raising the roof. They're millennials. That's a thing that happens, and it basically gets to the point where Randy Orton gets the win, right? But before he does that, he drags Rollins into the ring by the hair. And J&J come into the ring. They try to stop the Hangman's DDT. Ryback takes out Noble and Mercury, and then is turned around immediately for an RKO. So Orton wins. He's the new #1 contender, and he doesn't have a moment to celebrate before Rollins is in the ring and curb stomps his face into the fucking mat. How awesome was it that occurred immediately after the victory? Like, yes, you get to win, but motherfucker, you don't win. You lose because I'm gonna break your neck.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And we didn't even get a chance to enjoy his victory, and Seth just bitched him in the motherfucking ring.
He totally did. So, with that being said, Rollins stands tall, holding the title high in the air, proclaiming he's the future, and since he's the champion, he's also the present. He's everything but the past. That being said, that's really the end of Raw, but it's not the end of the show. We have one last segment to get into, an award-winning segment. What award? I have no idea, but it's won one. I've got phone calls. It's a thing. It's real. It's the good, the bad, and the fugly. Papo, let's break it down for the peoples. Tell me about the good.
Okay. So right now we have the outline that we're going by, and we have the first match, Orton versus Kane. I'm going to give that a good. Tetsuki, what do you give it?
I'm going to give it good as well.
Okay.
What's the bad?
Neville, or the bad? Yeah,
man. We only get one per. That's why it's a hard segment. That's why it's an interesting segment. We only got one apiece. One good thing, one bad thing, one fugly thing.
Okay, so I'm gonna take that back. The good, Neville versus Rollins.
All right, I can dig it. What about the bad?
The bad was the New Day versus the Dragon Lucha Dragons.
Lucha. No, the young kids are doing it. I don't know. So give me the fugly.
The Fugly, I'm giving it to Roman Reigns and the Big Show.
You're gonna
It just so
you, you're gonna turn on your fellow Samoan? What's that about?
I
No fucking solidarity over there, Casa de Pablo.
it's I got a poo poo on Super Uso and Big Slow. I mean, I've seen it so many damn times. I'm just so fucking tired of it.
All right, so I'm gonna give my good, bad, and fugly. My good is that we got treated to really fucking good wrestling, and I was torn between Orton and Kane and Neville and Rollins, but I'm gonna have to go with you. My good is the Neville and Rollins. My bad is Cena. Audibly, you could hear him calling spots in his match with Stardust. That's just bad. Ugh, it bugs me. Fugly. Commercial breaks during title matches. We got one of those earlier, and it just pisses me the fuck off. And I usually rant about it when it happens, but I figured, you know what? Today, I'm going to do the people a service. I'm going to save my bitching for the end. No more fucking commercials for title matches. You have a 3 goddamn hour show. Work around it. You can time out your own fucking commercials. Tired of this shit. What else you got to talk about, Papa? Are we done? Can we go home? Can I eat my cheesesteak here in parts unknown?
We are done. Thank you for watching. Keep tuning in. Comment down below. Like, subscribe. Hit up the Facebook page. Let us know something. Gmail, Twitter, Facebook. And that's all I got to say about that.
He's right. Don't be lazy. Don't be a lazy shit. We believe in you. Papa, we believe in the people. We believe that you can do it. You can do it. I know it's rough. I know it's difficult. Just move that mouse a little bit down there. Clickety-clackety the like button. Do all the things he talked about. Visit our links. It's in the description box. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Papo. I am Ted, and we are fucking out of here. It's feeding time.
Peace.